And welcome back, man. It's been a long time. I think December since the last writing sprints. I'm very, very happy to be having artist Nicholas Georgel and, of course, writer and poet Kira Alece with us. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be an awesome show. So without further ado, I've already kept Instagram waiting way too long. Here come Kira and Nick. Hey, guys. What's up?
Hello.
It's been forever.
It has been a while
Since we all came on sprints.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the first thing I get to ask you is what you guys think of the new countdown video.
It was very cool. I liked it a lot. It's very cinematic.
I really liked it as well.
Yeah, I found a way to do it on Canva, and I absolutely loved the way it came together. I like the music we used. Very, very exciting. And of course, we have Best Mermaid with us. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
And of course, you can catch their stream on Drop a Line from last night that I unfortunately missed because I was taking care of a pet who was sick.
Oh.
Yeah, I had to take her to the cat hospital.
Sure.
Man, and that's a story within itself. So this cat hospital I took them to are like the worst cat hospital I've ever been to.
Oh gosh.
It was the only thing in my area that was open for the emergency that it was, and it was a very trying experience. So we think that my cat has a cold. That's been the common thread behind everything. She's sneezing, she's a little sluggish. So we took her to the emergency room just to make sure that she was good since the vet closed. And what happened is we ended up getting an x-ray, and they said the x-ray looked good. And then we got some blood work just to be on the safe side. And they said, we're going to call you. We're going to call you and let you know if we see anything. So I'm at work, and they call me. And I asked them, I said, well, is everything fine? They think, yeah, everything's good. The blood work was really good. Except for this like liver thing though. I'm like, liver thing. And the night before they're like, when we did the x-ray, it looks like, Sophie's kidney, one is like slightly larger than the other. And she's like, that could mean a lot of things or it can mean nothing. And what happened is we got the blood work to like double check to see if everything's good. And the blood work came back to the kidneys were like pitch perfect. And they're like, yeah, but there's like high liver counts, which, could be super dangerous, or it could be just because she's not feeling well. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you think we should do? She goes, yeah, you guys should go get like an ultrasound. But in order to do that, you got to drive to Mount Laurel, which for me is 40 minutes away, and go get this ultrasound. So I'm like, all right, we got to go schedule this. And my mother called them to get all the information of where this place was, what exactly needed to be done so she could set up the appointment while I'm at work. Then I get a call, and they're like, yeah, so they think it's a parasite. And I'm like, that's not what the doctor told me at all. And I'm like,
that's crazy.
So we definitively think that she has a cold, based off of what our vet actually said. And right now they're testing her for the parasite, and they're supposed to be getting back and looking at it and be like, all right, this is definitively what it is. So it's been a rough 24 hours, and I'm probably never going to that place ever again.
Well, I hope this does get better. I find it kind of crazy how it seems like your test results that come back is like it's either nothing and she was probably fine, or it's something really horrible. So you're stuck in that middle being like, what do I do? Where do I go? Yeah, well,
like in both cases, both doctors were like the vet and the doctor at the ER was like, yeah, she's gonna be fine. I don't expect it to be something that's like super bad, but it could be this.
Yeah, but it still puts that in your head, and you're like, I don't know what to believe.
Yeah, I'm like, as soon as you say one kidney is larger than the other, I'm like, all right, what's gonna happen now?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's well. Sorry to hear that, Andrew.
All right. Well, I've wasted enough time. Do any of you guys want to give like a quick intro to everybody else before we get started with our first sprint here?
Well, ladies first. Kira?
Sure. I'm Kira Alece. I write poetry and I do some paintings and arts. I write it over at Alece's Poetry, ALECESIS Poetry on Instagram and Facebook is where you can find me.
All right. And I am Nicholas Georgel, and on Instagram it's NickGeoArts. And I'm an artist. I do a lot of manga art. I do pinup art and comic art. And I am working on this illustration right here. Oops. I was trying to switch the camera.
And for those of you on Instagram who can't see, Nick and Kara on StreamYard, which is our part of our dual stream. So if you want to see like the full picture to picture what's going on, you guys can head over to YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. But you know,
so I'm working on this piece right here, and
feel free to drop them for us.
I love that piece, Nick. It looks so good.
Yeah. So is there any, like,
yeah, I'm gonna be working on it. Sorry, you cut out, Andrew. What?
Is there any like background information on that? Like, is that for like a commission, or is that something that you're doing on your own?
No, it's just an original piece. But what is different about this one is, you know, usually I draw like just a character, but this has like a whole background element. So it's basically like a warrior woman who's fighting a dragon that has damaged this castle back here, and the mountain and, you know, fire in the background. So I basically the plan was I wanted to challenge myself to do like a full blown illustration that like tells the story. So that's the story behind it, basically.
Awesome. And for everyone asking over on Instagram, the YouTube is if you're a part of Kira's entourage, Kira has been posting it on her social media accounts. You just go to One True Promotion on YouTube, and of course you can head over there and see everything going on in StreamYard, especially any of the promo videos that pop up. And what's up, Jason? How you doing?
I will reiterate and say from last time, come see our beautiful faces.
Yeah, come see their beautiful faces. I mean, you only got to see this mug right here, and you know that's enough to score you on Instagram for the better looking faces, right?
No, you do that to yourself.
You got Cold War. Well, I don't have Cold War. I have the original Cold War when the game first came out, not the re-released version. Awesome. Really nice composition. Yeah, that was. I guess that was your drawing there, Nick.
Yeah, thank you, Ariel. I really appreciate it. Going to be inking it. The sketch is mostly done, but tonight I'll be inking it, basically.
Right.
I can't wait to see how that's going to turn out.
So here we go.
Thank you, Kira.
First 15 minutes on the clock. Got the timer going. And today what I'm going to be working on is I'm going to be working on the Lordress, which is my supernatural medieval fantasy story. Just finished all the outlining for it, so it's going to be a lead off chapter. So I'm very much looking forward to get a good jump on that.
Oh, that's awesome. I had a whole plan for what I was going to do. I wanted to try and do an acrylic pour on stream. But the way my basement's set up right now, it's not an ideal place to set up something for a live stream. There'd be too many places to trip on cords, and the lighting would be awful, and you probably couldn't hear me at all. So
that would be cool to see, though. Maybe in a more prepared setting, but that would be cool to see sometime.
Oh yeah, I'll figure out a way to get it somewhere to where it's manageable. But unfortunately, I could not make it work tonight.
Yeah, see, like this bookshelf is great because it has like this shelf up here, which is how my phone's just pointed down. It's really convenient in that regard.
Ooh, that's awesome. You know, I'd always wondered, since we were on the first time, how exactly you set your camera up like that.
Oh, I'll show you. It's actually real simple. So, like, here's the desk, and here's my bookshelves.
It's like so perfect.
I prop it right up here and point it down. I hope that showed it well enough.
A very simplistic setup.
Yeah, but I love that. I love like simple ways that it can work and look good. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
should just have a GoPro.
I
should just have a GoPro glued up here or something, just always pointed down.
I will say it kind of reminds me of like a Greek painting, like the gods and fighting the Titans. So it's like the Titans are on their way up to Olympus.
Mm-hmm.
It's I could see that. Yeah, there's I mean, I'm sorry by mythological stuff, but I like your take on that, Andrew. Very, very cool.
I just like how
of course, I got a question. Am I going to do an animal day for like a podcast or for like writing sprints? We could do an animal day.
What
we can all bring our animals on.
I have to do that when Max the dog is over sometime. Yeah.
I can go get my dog now. Kind of, maybe, perhaps, if he wants.
And a cool, of course, best mermaid. Oh, cool glove. Is that so you don't smudge your artwork?
Oh, yeah, Ariel, I saw your question. Yeah, that's exactly what this glove is for. Yep, it's because, and also, I don't know, your hands get oily and it just smudges the sketch, so it's very helpful in that regards. It's also just smoother, like your hand just glides smoother across the paper, which is really nice.
I'll have to invest in one of those.
Yeah, I mean, you can get like a 4-pack on Amazon for pretty cheap, like $7 or something, I think.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely have to look in that. I also had a question for you, Nick. I've kind of just like started back into the whole painting and drawing thing. I have about, I don't even know how many, like 10 or so paintings and drawings and stuff behind me laid out flat across my dresser right now. I have no clue how to store those without damaging like the picture of the medium. How do you store your art?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. In the closet, I have like a container here that just has everything. But your case is different because I know, like for me, I just do like marker art and stuff. But yeah, you're pretty big though, right? Because that I would say, like container, probably just keep it like a nice decent sized container if you can like stack them. Okay. That way they most relatively secure, and if you ever need to move it, you're good basically.
Yeah, I got myself a huge like tub for all of my supplies, but I didn't really think about the whole thing of actually making the art and where to store that. So right now it's just been stored in my room on all of my surfaces, and I have no room for anything else.
Yeah, I will show this real quick because this is actually very handy just for anyone in general. Actually,
yes,
I highly recommend. I actually use this. I use this Staples folder thing. It's like a legal folder, but it actually just has my art in it, like the ones I actively work on. They're all just in here.
Oh, that's
so
a good idea.
For anyone, yeah, because also like if I go anywhere, I can also transport it. And so anyone ever needs that, definitely recommend that legal folder thing.
That's awesome. No, I think that's
not
a really
sponsored.
Good idea. Something like that.
Product placement right here on writing sprints. I almost said drop a line for a minute.
Not
but,
sponsored. Same thing. Did you start the sprint, by the way? I'm sorry if I got sidetracked there with product placement.
Oh no, I asked for it, so I don't think it was off topic at all.
Yes. Yeah, that's how I do mine. My storage.
I'll definitely have to look into that.
What?
I don't know if there's even Staples in Ohio. Are there?
You know what?
Is the store Staples in Ohio? It's a store called
we have one
Staples.
close.
It's like an author. Oh,
What do you think of that?
I've never been into it before. There go my dogs.
There is the doggy.
Josh! I'm gonna try and get one of them on here. Be right back.
We have a surprise appearance. Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, I am getting back to live streaming. I'm going to do my first blind playthrough of any video game on YouTube and Twitch. I'm going to be doing a game called Control. I heard it's like a very fantastic game. I've never touched it before, which is why it will be a blind playthrough. And yeah, I'm excited to be playing that through March. I also have to finish my Bloodborne Magic build run on New Game Plus, and I also have to finish my no item box run. So look forward to me posting a lot of content on Twitch coming soon.
That's awesome. I finally got my dog here with me.
Very, very cool.
He wants to do nothing but breathe very heavily. You can hear it.
Oh, there's the dog.
You want to say hi? Alpha, cuddle.
Hello.
Alpha, give me cuddles. Alpha. Alpha.
Stealing the show.
He's trying to.
And again, if you guys want to see all the wonderful things going on over here at StreamYard, you got to head over to Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch to see sort of everything going on with Nick and his drawing, Kira, and
Her dog, because she's been
her
boring
wonderful
tonight
dog.
and not working on anything creative.
Too cute. I agree. Large print portfolio, better keep artwork for school. Yeah. You guys definitely should look into that. Look like Nick has that down pat. And Nick also had a really cool setup for our live displays when we went on for One True Promotion. You had everything built up with sleeves and stuff, and had everything all sectioned up,
Yeah.
size and prints and.
Yeah, I didn't show that. Yeah, I'll grab it maybe later if I have some time. But it's kind of back in my bookshelf. Yeah, portfolio. Yeah, definitely is great. Like with sleeves but those I use more for like display though. The folder thing is more just for plain old storage. But you are right, Andrew.
Yeah, so we had a really cool setup. We had Nick and his drawings, and of course they were from the smallest size to the larger size. We had Alec, and he had his books on display. I had Sanguinary Song on display, and if you look all in the background, hanging out there with the Fiend on the shelf over there, is good old Drake. I didn't bring him out for writing sprints this time, but he was present and the talk of the event. Everybody wanted to come over and like figure out what the heck he was. So, hats off to the artist Tom, who did the sculpture for me and did such a fantastic job. Everybody wanted to know who Drake was, and everyone needed to come over and look at it and ask questions about it, which gave me the perfect opportunity to run into my pitch.
There you go.
And yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Definitely look so happy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He just pants all the time. That's all he does. Like I said, he enjoys watching himself in the TV or seeing other dogs or other things on the TV, and like trying to attack himself because he sees himself as such a threat. But I'm surprised he's not going after anything right now, probably because the screen's too small for him to see anything. So, but he's eyeing up my mirror right now. So,
yeah, maybe I'll hop on Warzone one of these days. It's been so long since I sat down and played a Call of Duty game. I'm more or less playing other games like Smite and all the other good stuff.
you say, what have you guys been into when it comes to video games and everything? Well,
I guess I'll go first since I won't shut up about the games.
Yeah.
I play a lot of
Either.
single player challenge games like Resident Evil, anything survival horror, from the classics to the remakes, anything Soulsborne, so like Sekiro, Bloodborne, Dark Souls, pretty much anything story driven. I eat up because I really like to look at the story and character development. I do have an Xbox, which you can't see because of the PlayStation, but the Xbox is pretty much my go-to for any co-op games because anyone who plays on PlayStation Network knows that PlayStation online play is like absolutely trolly. So I've definitely had the best experience on Xbox Live in terms of co-op and playing online with other players. People aren't as toxic on Xbox, in my opinion. So, anything single player is on the PlayStation, anything multiplayer is on the Xbox.
So you probably wouldn't have said that back in like 2013?
No, because I am a diehard PlayStation player, through and through. I've had every single PlayStation. I'm going to get the PlayStation 5 when I absolutely can. I still think the PlayStation is a better system.
Out of stock for so long?
Yeah. It's been ridiculous. I mean, I tried competing with all the bots. I went to Walmart, I went to Target, I went to Best Buy, and as soon as they dropped in, I had my team going where I had like 4 or 5 different computers up. I have 4 or 5 different people manning said computers, and it's like, all right, everybody hit buy at the same time to see what one of us gets through. And then of course I had the Walmart one and I got the dreaded oh dear screen.
Oh no.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
I was so tired of that.
Yeah, that happened to me. That happened to me too when I early on when I tried pre-ordering a PS5. But yeah, I'm a PlayStation player. I can speak to that on Xbox, Andrew. But yeah, I could see what you mean, especially on Call of Duty. Maybe toxicity, but yeah, I think I told you guys I like Final Fantasy VII the remake a lot, and I didn't even play the original, but that's fine.
I wanted to get that so bad. I grew up with the Final Fantasy VII movie, and I loved that.
Yeah, the Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
All over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really, really good. But
I'll tell you what, that remake looks beautiful, absolutely stunning.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't played it, you need to. It's ridiculously awesome.
Yes,
yeah, I really do. I'm waiting till the price comes down a little bit because right now it's a little bit out of my price range.
I have a feeling like depending on what system or what you own, like you might be able to get it like super cheap because they run their developer sales, like Capcom just had theirs, and you can get all these classic Resident Evil games for like anywhere from like $3 to $10.
Ooh, wow.
And it's like an easy steal, and it's like and this is why, and of course your timer is about to go off, so I'm going to try to stop it early. I failed. The cool thing about PlayStation Network that I really like is their PlayStation Plus content is 10 times better than what you would get with the Xbox Pass.
Oh, okay.
Because what PlayStation Network does is they give you 3 free games every month. One of them is a major title. Another one is a minor title, and then the other one is an indie game.
And
it's like the major title for this month was Control. And I had wanted to play it for so long, but like you said, Kira, it's like, it's really hard to invest money in a game, especially if it's like a new developer or something like that. So I was like, all right, I'm going to wait, see if the hype about Control is real. So I don't buy a game like I did with Anthem, play it for like 2 days, and then be like, this game's terrible.
Exactly. Say my price range when it comes to games is probably still stuck in the Wii section of GameStop. So like, $2.99 for a crappy, bad title back on the Wii. About price range I'm at.
Well, I mean, that's the thing that makes the Wii so iconic is that their games sell for a lot less.
You have no idea how many games I have. If I sold them, I probably have enough money to buy a good amount of AAA titles for a while.
There you go.
Hey, but at least the Wii did have a lot of fun games on it to enjoy.
What's up, John?
It did, and it had a lot of really good games that were very underlooked and underrated. So ones I can think of at the top of my head, like No More Heroes, Last Story. And of course, the Zelda games were on there, but everyone kind of knew that. Okami was great on there. Muramasa. Muramasa is one of my favorites on that.
Very, very.
It seemed like my favorite thing on the Wii is the Wii bowling.
Yeah.
I have so much fun with Wii bowling. I can play that for hours.
And they're classic. They're classic games. And I tell you, even with the most shovelware garbage title that you can think of on the Wii, still has its moments of fun because of how bad it is.
Well, you know what else I like about what direction they're going in? They're trying to combine console and handheld.
Mm-hmm.
So, like the Switch, you can play it as a console, or you can get bored and put it into its console or its I want to call it a Game Boy version. I know that's not handheld, and I'm a '90s baby, so of course the Game Boy is the first thing that comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they have the handheld version. You can keep playing, and it just it really revolutionizes the way gaming is because they tried that with the PlayStation with the PSP, and it just wasn't the same.
And they kind of Nintendo had around trying to go with it with the Wii U, which really wasn't all that fantastic. But they really nailed it with the Switch. I mean,
oh yeah, hands down.
I have so many hours put into, even just a handful of games on the Switch right now. It's crazy, And one thing I love about it is the amount of titles that are out on it, because sometimes, I've been finding it kind of hard to find titles I want to play on PlayStation or even Xbox, but the Switch has so many.
Well, let me show on title. Actually, that's news for me. I actually didn't mention this about news for me with you because I got Switch. Actually, shout out to my friend Brett because my friend was getting, I think, the new Mario Switch, and so he didn't need his old regular Switch, so he let me have it for $200, which that's a lot cheaper than the full price of the Switch. So I have that and I got the only two games I have for that was a gift. I have Mario 3D World, which I haven't cracked open yet, and I have this. I got Super Mario 3D All Stars, which is really great because that's the three classic old games of 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy. All for the Switch.
Talk about another great Wii game.
Yeah, when I think of Wii, I think of Galaxy. Yep.
I just remember the old days of Mario Party, and I just want to go back to those days.
Mario Party's great.
Hey, you can still do Mario Party.
Would you say, Nick? You cut out a little bit.
Yeah.
I was saying you could still do Mario Party. Have fun times with that.
Oh yeah, they have the new one out for the Switch. My niece keeps dying to play it with me, and then every time she gets here, we just get distracted with something else. Usually Zelda.
Yeah.
Wii bowling. Yeah, so the chat on Instagram is talking about Wii bowling.
It's the best.
It is the best, and it's. I think it's rigged. I think they don't want you to get a 300 in that game. I've seen people do it, but
so
I'll hit that pocket perfectly.
Hit that game. Oh my god! I'll never forget how many times I cried as a kid because she would just absolutely destroy me.
Yeah, me as somebody who has bowled professionally, I'm like, all right, I got this. And then, my little sister would come over there and beat me. I'm like, whoa.
Oh my god, yeah.
Not cool at all.
Okay, I have to ask this, but maybe it was just me and being the odd kid I was. Did anyone ever sit there, put on Wii Sports, put it on the tennis, and just make NPCs play games against each other. Because I would do that all the time and just watch a tennis match that I'm not even playing. A fake tennis match at that.
I do that all the time, but I do it for like other things too, like wrestling.
Uh-huh.
Like I have to have a whole show I put together and like produce, and it's like I just let all the matches run off. And then it's like I have to wait like 3 or 4 matches before mine comes. And then I gotta wrestle my match and then go back watching the show that I created.
I love that. See, I never knew that you could actually do that with the wrestling.
Yeah, it's I think it's changed over the years, but it's currently called Universe Mode.
Mm-hmm.
They used to have something called GM mode where you get to like draft like wrestlers and stuff, but they kind of put everything into universe mode where you get to write your own storylines. You get to have you can have your characters to cut a promo, which in the wrestling world is when you come out and you basically try to work the crowd and get them either on your side or against you, and you get like extra bonus points for sticking to your role. So if you start off your promo as a heel or a bad guy, and you keep sticking to the lines that make people boo you, you get like extra bonuses, and it'll help you in your match going forward, which I thought was really a cool concept.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like there's so much you could do in like wrestling games and other content. Is like you just gotta really find it, really. I mean, it's like if you play Madden, like there's a mode where you can do that too, and I think they still have it. They should have their own GM mode where you can actually draft your players and act as if you're the head coach of the team or the owner. Yeah, it is a lot of fun. It's like a free for all. Like my favorite match is like these 6-way ladder matches, and they like last like forever. Because it's so hard to win those matches because there's so many people in the ring.
Oh my gosh. That's so great.
I do all the cool stuff. And like anybody who's ever played wrestling with me knows that I can't skip the entrances because it's all part of the show. So
gotta put on the full thing,
Man, those are the days. I really was let down with the most recent addition to the wrestling series, 2K20. There was just so many glitches in it. It seemed like they released it too quickly.
And that's
they actually didn't release one this year.
Come out every year,
Yeah, they come out every year, but the problem is that the product was getting worse and worse. In terms of like the graphics look phenomenal and everything, but it's like you would find like random bugs, like you body slam somebody close to the referee and the referee like phases into the ring and he's like a body that crawls around. Oh crap, what was the other glitch I found that like I just blew my mind? I went and I put a wrestler into a submission hold and it rolled onto the referee, and I ended up putting both them and the referee into the submission hold, and it's like you can drag them around the ring as you have the submission hold on if you have like a particular submission. So here I am. I have them in like a seated Boston crab, and I'm working on their legs and the lower body, and I'm crawling around the ring, and it's like I'm dragging both the referee and the person along too.
Oh my gosh. That's hysterical. Oh wow. And sometimes, sometimes glitches can be fun just for like a short amount of time, but I think that it is a bit frustrating when you've got these titles that definitely have the money behind it, and they'll still rush out something that's really not, it's not perfected.
Well, I mean, you see it all the time too, and like there's games like oh man, what's it called? The one with Keanu Reeves that just came out.
Oh, that's Cyberpunk, of course.
Cyberpunk, yeah. So Cyberpunk came out. Everybody was excited for it, and a lot of people don't realize that Cyberpunk was delayed several times because they're like, we want to make the best game possible, and they finally came out with it, and there were so many glitches with it on the console that they specifically only showed footage for PC users only, where it runs perfectly.
Exactly.
And it's like the console players got the game and they were like, what's up with all these glitches? And like it's a very sophisticated software, but the glitches were so obscene and like disgusting. Like, you know, it was really difficult to like kind of see some of the stuff that actually came through.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I remember the big issue with Fallout 76 was the one that was horrible.
well, I mean,
A lot of
that's
people were
the
really
other
let down by
example
that
right
game.
there. Fallout, man, that was a great series, and then it tried to rush a game out because it was popular. And I'll tell you how frustrating that game was for me and why I stopped playing. So I started playing with friends, and it's supposed to be a co-op thing. So it's like you have your team together, you build your own little houses and everything like that. And it's like, all right, cool. It's almost like the Sims. I'm like, all right, cool. I got my own little house in the pandemic. I'm really good, awesome. But I ended up trying to raid an area with my friends. They disconnected from the area, so it was just me there. And I was like, well, I'm almost done the mission, so I might as well just keep going. Mind you, I'm level like 8 at this point. It's very early into my playthrough. I'm like, very weak. And the area I'm in is like level 8 because it's supposed to tailor around, a certain player. And for me, since I was a host, that's the world that it tailored to. Well, I'm getting to the end of this thing, and then all of a sudden, the world shifts. Everything comes back to life after I defeated everything, and these people are like level 30, and I'm like trying to get away from them, but I'm getting like downed instantly, and I'm like, how is this possible? How is everything scaled up so high? So I click on the map, and I notice that some random person came into my world at level 30 and reinvented the world around me. So everything just came right back to life. And you have absolutely no chance at all. And that was the worst game design. And that's why Fallout 74 was absolutely terrible.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I heard horror stories about that.
I mean, that's only the tip of the iceberg, but that's what did it for me. I'm like, look, if I can get all the way to the end of the level and right before I like claim it and beat the mission, it's going to respawn everything and just absolutely annihilate me without a shred of chance of beating it. Yeah. I'm like, no, that's too frustrating. Keep in mind that even with my friends, before they disconnected, that mission took us over 30 minutes to get through.
Oh, God.
So 30 minutes of work down the drain.
For no payoff, for nothing.
For no payoff. We couldn't even loot the chest to end the mission.
Oh my God.
And then, like, the other thing that was really frustrating about that game is, like, yeah, you could build a house, but nobody tells you that, like, monsters, like, constantly attack your house when you're not there. So it's like you're gone for a half an hour on a mission. You come back and all your defenses are destroyed and your house is on fire. Like, just leave my shelter alone.
See, this is how I just deal with like a lot of the glitches and stuff with games. I just try not to play like online, and usually that's all right.
Yeah, it's a pretty good safe bet.
Yeah, for the most part. There are some exceptions.
Oh boy! And thanks again for everyone who's joining in on Instagram. Once again, we have Kira and artist Nicholas Georgel, and he's doing his little drawing. Get ready to call it in.
Little drawing.
Little drawing.
Just little drawing.
Little drawing.
Not like
you got to head over to StreamYard to see all the wonderful conversations and all the wonderful picture-to-picture detail.
To beat somebody up in a second, Andrew.
Oh boy.
Little drawing.
Yeah, you got that little drawing going.
Just that little fun.
I will say this is really fun. I'm glad to be back and like socializing with you guys for sprints.
It's been a lot of fun so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yep. Good to be.
Let's see. When it comes to like games and stuff that I've been playing, I haven't really been playing all too much. Played a little bit of Okami on the PS4 earlier today, and then been helping my niece a lot with Zelda, Breath of the Wild. She calls or texts me like every now and again. It's just like, how do I get through this? How do I get through this? I try to send like a link for a walkthrough, even like a video walkthrough, and she's still like, I can't get it. I'm like, how can you not get it?
Hello, Better Days. Thanks for joining. Hello, Jen. I'm good. How about you? We are dual streaming currently on SteamYard over here. We got Kira and Nick doing his awesome drawing. That is certainly not little.
Awesome drawing.
That's better. That's a better.
There you go. I fixed it. I thank everybody for
welcome to
in.
everybody here.
Of course, we got the fantastic Catherine who wanted to know if we wanted to do a animal stream. Eventually, we should. I'm good. Long time no talk. Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to hear from you, Jen.
So if you were here like 10 minutes ago, you could have saw my doggy.
Yeah, more people coming into YouTube chat. See, it's interesting too, because like I got like the overall screen and I see like who's on Instagram and who's on all the other, feeds and stuff, who's on YouTube, who's on Facebook, who's on Twitch, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was last time, I don't know, something was going on. I think I had to like log in. I don't know if it was using your account or something, and so I got to see like the viewer counts in the chat and stuff, and I kind of missed that. I don't know why they don't have that present for the guests.
I'm surprised they don't. I thought that's something that they opened back up for you guys.
Yeah. Or at least have an option for it. I can understand if some people would find that like kind of distracting, but I also kind of want to see. So,
Catherine, you missed a conversation from earlier, unless you were you on earlier, and I just don't know. I did tell everyone that Sophie was having some issues. We ended up taking her to the cat hospital yesterday, and it was the worst experience that we had ever had. They were absolutely incompetent. They didn't know what they were doing. And here's something I didn't mention because it was the last thing on my mind with all the other bullcrap going on with that. So we go to pay, right? And they gave us a price to pay for the visit. And I go ahead and pay it. And they turn around and they go, I'm so sorry. And I go, what do you mean? We didn't charge you the full amount. We only charged you half price for it. I'm like, okay. So here it is. We got to add the blood work in. All right, cool. So we add. Oh yeah. So you did hear it. Okay, Catherine. Yeah, it was very terrible. But this place was like very mismanaged because it's like the red flags were there.
You
with
better
the whole
be careful with
price.
that. They've been double charging you.
Yeah. So they ended up adding the rest of the price on, and I walked out the door because they said that I was good. And then I get a call on my phone like 10 minutes later. Yeah, by the way, we mischarged you again. We forgot to add another $20 on for the food that you took for the sample and everything like that. I'm like,
that's ridiculous.
Jeez.
I would have said like no.
they're like, yeah. So you can either come in tomorrow and pay, or just give us the information over the phone.
Well, and that's kind of sketchy at times, you know.
Yeah, I should have called you in hindsight, Catherine, but I didn't think about it because I was like the vet that I usually take them to was closing in 5 minutes, and I'm like, all right, well, Instagram just. I think we're back on Instagram. Okay. Yeah. I didn't think about it at the time because she wasn't feeling too well. She wasn't acting herself. They think it's a cold, so that's the good news. We just got to monitor her for the next few days, and if her condition doesn't improve by Monday, they're gonna run some more tests at the actual vet that we take them to, which is very trustworthy and not an issue. Yeah. So she actually did raise one of our cats before she fostered them, which was really cool.
That is awesome. How's
Nick
the
over
little drawing going over there? Nick?
I know. I was just thinking it too. I'm like, Nick's over here just The only one actually making progress tonight.
I don't come on here to make progress. I come on here to make friends.
Exactly.
Sorry if I'm antisocial. Well, when I get into it, I tend to get into it. As I said, art's often kind of solitary sometimes.
Well, say you're kind of busy right now. We don't expect you to be, super into the conversation. I mean, I feel like I would be one of the people if I was trying to talk and paint or draw at the same time. I'd probably try writing down what I'm trying to speak at the same time.
Yeah, well, luckily, sprints has actually helped me balance out talking and drawing. Early on, it was a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't used to that.
Yeah, for me, I just like to run my mouth. That's my problem. I never shut up.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an issue. I mean, like I said, it's nice to do that. It's nice to kind of have someone talking and have that conversation going in the background while you're trying to get something done.
Well, see, that was always my issue with like traditional sprints. And it's like I watch people who sprint for like 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and it's like 20 minutes, 15 minutes of dead air.
Mm-hmm.
And people
there's no music playing or anything too, so it's like ugh.
Yeah, like at least you guys can come on, be entertained, and like you guys can read, you guys can do your homework or whatever and just chill. And eventually I get work done. So I mean it's not always like this where I'm just enjoying the conversation.
Exactly.
Well, you opened the stream with a cat horror story, so I mean, at least you were telling us an interesting story, even though it wasn't a written thing.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's consistent with like what I'm writing right now. So.
Exactly.
Ugh.
Oh man, I tell you what though, like I said, that was a very crazy time with that place. I do not ever recommend going there. And like I said, it was a new place, brand new open. I mean, the people there were super nice. Too bad they were unfortunately super clueless.
That's a bad combo.
I have my mic muted, sorry.
I mean, like I had nothing but like praises to sing about them before, like when I was there.
Here I go again. I'm destroying everything.
I mean, yeah, we could definitely bring you on at some point. You could talk about the shelter if you want.
Oh no.
Kira,
I turned my phone off.
Kira,
are we back now?
Peter? You looked up and it was a black screen.
I should not have grabbed right there.
What place is it? Yeah, you're back. Sorry,
okay,
I got distracted by like comment.
No, it's all right. I just wanted to be sure.
Dude, we are on StreamYard right now. We are on StreamYard. I'm actually
going
to
put pressure on you here, but it would be cool if you drew on stream like me at some time. I love your idea of the acrylic world. It doesn't have to be that though. It would be cool to see your process. You just gotta get a shelf like me, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, like I said, I really do want to try like doing like an acrylic pour or something on here, but I gotta get the whole thing situated because the last thing I need is to make a mess on my nice furniture in here in my room. So
there's a little bit of the show going on over here on Instagram. Of course, I have to head out, but there was a lot of fun. Well, thank you for coming. I'm so glad to have you here. Oh, I'm glad you were able to work on your commission. I got to check out your art too, and I got to check out your show. So once again, before you go, just to let you know, if you want to drop like your information into chat, I'll put it on screen. But you can actually catch the interview with her Best Mermaid and Alec on Drop a Line that premiered last night, and it should be on our YouTube channel, which is what a lot of you are currently watching on. So if you guys want the link for that,
certainly go check it out because it was a wonderful interview.
Yeah. So again, I feel terrible that I couldn't be there, but I'm definitely going to watch
kind of busy with the.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it tonight. So here is the link to our YouTube. So from there, you guys can actually click onto the stream that we're currently on, and then you guys can navigate our YouTube channel. And of course, if you like what you see, please subscribe. But that's what's going on over on StreamYard, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and close this stream out on Instagram because the hour's like coming up. But thank you guys for joining here on Instagram.
And give me cuddles. You give me cuddles this time? Do you? No, he just wants to look at my eyes. Be mad. He's like, stop talking. Pay attention to me.
Dogs just want attention.
Yep. That's literally all he does. Every day. I'm trying to think of what else we could chat about here.
What's up, guys?
Nothing.
Oh, there's plenty of stuff that we can talk about.
Let me say, what are you up to, Andrew, with any writing? Like any new stuff you've talked a lot about games, but it's been so long since Sprint. I'm not sure what you worked on. Any cool stories coming soon? Any sanguinary stories?
Yeah. So right before I get into that, of course we got our social media posted up for Best Mermaid. Spooky Bubblegum Art is what her Instagram page is. Definitely check out her artwork. It's fantastic. And again, check out the interview with Alec on Drop a Line. It's right there. Kira's pointing to it.
I'm trying to.
You won't be disappointed. And she does do commissions. I'm not sure if they're open currently. If you're still here, Best Mermaid, just confirm if you guys are still doing your commissions. If not, you could definitely feel free to message her and ask her if you're interested in commissioning her. But yeah, fantastic artist, and definitely want to check her out.
For sure.
So in terms of writing, I've been really focused on a few things. So I got my hands in so many different projects right now. I'm trying to narrow it down to what I want to work on. I recently finished my first short story. It's pretty much ready to be published at this point. It's called The Sale, and it's a part of the Auto Realm series, of course, about androids and their struggle to gain independence in a post-apocalyptic world. It's a very fascinating story. We had it read live on live readings. I'm sure it's going to be read again in the future. I've heard nothing but praises from it. I've heard that it's a step up from what I wrote with Sanguinary Song, that adds a lot of character and a lot of feeling towards it. A lot of people hate the main antagonist, which I'm absolutely thankful for, because he was the worst person I have ever written in terms of how evil he is. He is a very, very mean and arrogant and egotistical person, and I think it really shines through in his character development. So if you haven't heard The Sale, you can head on over to YouTube and you can look at our recent episode of live readings, and stay tuned to what's going on here, and you can catch that. In terms of novels, though, I'm chugging away at book 2 of the Sanguinary series titled Dirge of the Trinity, and I've been having a lot of fun with that. That's going to be my main focus, no matter what, going forward. But I'm also working on a new story, which is based on the same universe, and that, of course, is the Lordress, which is a supernatural medieval fantasy. So it's similar to what you see in Sanguinary Song, but a medieval take, and it takes place in a different realm with different creatures and a whole different world entirely. So a lot of interesting things going on there. That's sort of going to be my side story. And other than that, I am working on some more short story content. And I've recently decided that I am going to dust out my researching cap again, and I'm going to write a historical account that I'm going to try to apply to a history journal, and it's going to be about Alfred and Alexander the Great, and a comparison of both of those historical figures. And it's a comparison of, are these men actually great by the moniker that they carry? What makes them great based off of the ancient world and like their ancient concepts versus what we consider to be great in our society. So if we were to look at Alfred or Alexander in our current generation by our modern standards, would we consider them to be great or not? And, if one of them is great, who is the greatest between the two?
That's a really interesting perspective. I like the way that you're going at it with the comparison.
Yeah, two of the most important. Yeah, two of the most important great figures in history, and both of them have completely different temperaments and completely different stories and
different philosophies on life.
Yeah, and the funny thing is I don't see too much discussion about that issue in the historical community. So it's a nice thing to bring to the historical field, because so many people, just ask the question: is Alexander actually great, or is Alfred actually great? They don't compare them and see if they are actually great by our standards, which are entirely different here in 2021.
Exactly.
Sounds like a very cool project, Andrew.
Yeah, it's going to be a super long-term project. I don't expect to finish it within 10 years. But, well, I mean,
supporting it, that's good.
Well, I got to read a lot of books. I got to put in my own historical accounts. It's going to be a project that I do in my free time, and I sort of take my time on. And like I said, the goal with that one is to publish it to a historical journal. So I don't know. Maybe I'll get featured on History Channel at some point.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Have a special on you.
Bring along with the ancient aliens.
Oh man, those stories are fantastic.
Aren't they?
It is fun.
But yeah, that's what I'm working on. I got a lot of stories going on. I got the short stories, which I'm writing every so often. I try to take one short story every month and write it. And then I have the Sanguinaire series, which is my primary story. And then, of course, the Lordress is my backup story. So I got so many projects and so little time to actually do everything.
And you got a ton. But that's good. That's good that you're keeping yourself busy and, your mind going.
Yeah. I always got something to do.
Exactly.
Which is important.
Mm-hmm.
That's good, Andrew. You got several different options. It makes me think where I'm at right now is I've told you I've made a little while do I write, do I draw, so for now I've just been trying to crank out as much art and improve. I have a story idea that I might tackle in novel form soon, but right now, but I won't divulge that on air until it is more finally conceptualized before I even try explaining it. But for art right now, I told Kira this recently, but I think I want to maybe make an art book or even a coloring book, because since I do line art of all my stuff, you have a piece like this, but have it be line art so people could color it like an adult coloring book. So I think that'd be a cool thing eventually.
Yeah, that would be.
I just got to make.
Be the first
I just
to
make
get
a drawing in the future.
It's funny that you say it that way too, because it's I overshare way beyond. I'm hey, I got this project I'm working on. It's probably not gonna be done for 10 years, but here, this is what I'm doing.
Exactly. You won't see it out for a very long time. But...
Actually, you guys are the first to know that I'm actually officially doing this. Aside from one person who I I talked to Alec about it, and I was like, "Do you think I should like do this thing?" Because like writing in to get into like a historical journal is a very very difficult thing to do. It's not like modern writing. Modern writing it's really cool because I could do my research in like a year and then write my own story based off of that mythology, right?
Mhm.
When you're reporting like real historical data, you have to make sure you're, you know, triple, quadruple checking it. You got to make sure that, what you're saying makes sense. It's accurate.
And there's a crap ton of sources you have to go through.
Yeah, you got to
A
post all
billion
your
different
sources.
accounts.
You got to make sure you cite it correctly so you don't get hit for plagiarism.
Yeah.
For not citing it properly. There's just so much that goes into that, and the big thing behind it though is like it's high risk, high reward too, because you write something that is so different to the conversation that it could be something that's considered to be revolutionary to the idea. Nobody's really talking about whether or not um, who's greater, Alfred the Great, Catherine the Great. Nobody's comparing historical figures like that, and nobody's actually asking, are they great by our standards? Just are they great in general?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really, really cool concept, and I can't wait to see, how you progress on it, but I imagine it's going to take a while.
Yeah, for sure. It's just gonna be fun. It's like a little bit at a time, and it's like writing a research paper in college, and with we're writing intensive courses over at Rowan. It's like you learn the hard way. It's like you can have all your research and it just takes forever to line it up, get everything written down and everything like that, and make sure it's perfect.
Definitely.
And then of course you got to get your articles peer reviewed to make sure that you're spitting factual information out, that what you do say lines up with the historical record, and could be like a good stance to take.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun, but it's also very stressful to a degree.
I can only imagine. But if it's a passion project and it's something you enjoy, go for it. Some people, myself included, just think of those ideas, think, that'd be really cool, but then never actually put pen to paper and try to do anything with it.
Yeah, and I gotta thank my students for the idea too, because that's the students were having a discussion on whether or not Alexander was great, and I remember the discussion pretty much going, how do we perceive what great is? Like, are we saying that he never lost a battle, so Alexander therefore is great? Does that make him great? He murdered his best friend in cold blood because he said something funny to him while he was drunk. Does that make him great, or does that make him not so great? Like where's the cutoff of where we see a figure as great, and how many bad deeds, versus the good deeds, really coincide.
Exactly. And is it even really that culturally bad if in the time, the culture was okay with it?
Yeah.
Does the culture being okay with it change the way we see it in the modern now?
That's a good question to ask, because I would argue that, based off of what I've seen in 2020, then it would 100% be the case.
Yeah.
Because it's a shift in perspective on what is okay and what isn't okay.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a really interesting debate, definitely.
And
I'd also be curious, Andrew. I was going to say, Andrew, I'd be curious. I don't know enough about Alexander the Great. I know where did Great come from? Was that issued back then when he was alive? Was that a posthumous thing? Like, where did that come from? Not directly asking you, but I'd just be curious. That could be an interesting part of that.
Well, I mean, it's definitely a modern discussion. I think that's what you mean. Like, it's something that we look back on now, and it's like, was he really great, or was he, or did people just say he was great because he was so powerful he never lost a battle, or something like that,
Yeah.
And I think the big discussion is you look at like how he was as a warrior, and if you're specifically looking at him as a battle-hardened warrior, he was undefeated. He never lost. Like he never lost a battle. He never got downed in a battle. He never got wounded in a battle. He was, the king of battles, and his empire that he built it in less than, or in, I think it was like 10 years, which was 1 year. When you look at it, it's 1 year before the Roman Empire, like in terms of how long it took the Roman Empire to build versus how long it took his empire to build. He did it like a day sooner, all by himself, which is fascinating. But if you look at it from that military general record as an undefeated warrior, you have to ask yourself, does that make him great? The fact that he never lost a battle, that the only way that his conquest stopped and that his empire stopped was he kept wanting to grow his empire, and his men, after battling for years and years and years, turned around and said, "No, Mr. Alexander, we do not want to fight anymore. We want to go home, spend time with our families." And he was, "Okay, we're going to go home."
Yeah.
So it's like he could have kept going, but his men were like, "Yeah, we're tired. Can we, like Forrest Gump, I'm tired now. I think I'm going to go home."
And would some people, in that military scene consider that being not a leader, to not sit back and say, and to force your men to go back into battle,
Yeah.
You'd be considered a great leader that way still, because your men didn't listen to you at that point.
Yeah, I mean, how many times in history do you see foot soldiers like openly disagreeing with a leader and then keep their lives?
Mm-hmm.
But you look at that record, and then the big debate on the other hand for you, Nick, was okay. Well, when he did take over these kingdoms, he was known for being a peacemaker in terms of he perpetuated mixing cultures and religions. So everybody was allowed to practice the religion that they wanted to. He was like, if you want to practice this, you're allowed to, but you have to learn how to speak Greek. Like that was your one thing you had to do. As long as you spoke Greek and acknowledged Greek as the primary language, you can do whatever you want. And that's how you can govern. He actually encouraged intermarriage between different cultures, and that that a lot of people might actually look up to in the modern sense. But then you look at how he carved his empire, and you look at the total number of soldiers and civilians that his army killed, and it's up there in like 10,000. And you look at that number, it's like it's not just soldiers, it's civilians too. Does that make him great?
Mm-hmm.
Modern sources would say no, that's a terrible thing. That not only did he kill soldiers, but he killed civilians.
But can you not, when you're committing something like war, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all kind of bad, You're still killing lives, whether or not they're soldiers or civilians. And of course, civilians, you want to protect those lives, but, can you even do that when it comes to such a thing as war?
Right.
And conquer a territory.
I think that's going to be the interesting conversation in terms of looking at a more modern perspective, because in the more modern sense of the word, everyone's life matters, and everyone is precious. It's not like you look at a person, it's like, okay, well, it was a war, it's no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, if something happens on the news, whether it's a plane crash or if it's a military action, you always see like the news bulletin, flashed X amount of people were killed in this exercise. It's a big deal, and people like
like another
they
huge
grieve
factor
for them.
that I think can play into your story too is the internet and the fast and vast exchange of information across the world. So where back then, it would take possibly even, years for news to reach, anywhere without a certain radius.
Right.
And, now when we have information, boom, so accessible of what's going on in the world, how many people were killed, that plays a huge part in how we as the public perceive things.
Absolutely. And it's much easier for you to go along with something if you don't understand that it's happening at all.
Exactly.
I mean, Alexander's not going to come home to
yeah.
all his subjects and be like, yeah, guess what? I killed a whole bunch of civilians today.
Mhm.
But guess what? Now you have 10 times more land than you did before. So congratulations.
Mhm.
That's not what a leader will say. A leader will be like, hey, look, these guys fought us. They lost. We've negotiated a peace treaty with them, and now we've got a truce with them, and I would like you to welcome them into our family because they are no longer our enemy. They are our friend, and I encourage you to learn about their culture, to hang out with their culture, to live inside their culture, because we all need to get along and build my army.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, there are
and
many
you really
many
think
modern
about how
parallels
some.
there.
Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
No, I was just saying there's many modern parallels that could go, but I would be getting very political if I started doing that. But I'll keep my
Yeah.
mouth shut for now,
It's sometimes hard not to.
in case the
I mean,
CIA is listening to me.
that's the thing about history, though. It's okay to be political when you're looking at the content, right? And it's okay to acknowledge that both sides exist. And in fact, history, the way I was taught it in college, was to take those extra perspectives and to allow it to shape how you tell history, right? Understanding why Alexander, for example, promoted, making sure that we had one spoken language, but accepted other cultures. You think about it, when you conquer another nation, right? You want to make sure that you're not, rubbing it in their face. You want to make sure that you're assimilating them into your culture so that it's as smooth as transition as possible. And for him, it's like, okay, the easiest way to do that is be like, here, you need to speak our language, but you can have any religion you want, you can have any ideas that you want, as long as you follow our core ideas.
Part of me wonders if Alexander's reign lasted a little bit longer than it did, if that, I guess, principle would have persisted throughout his reign of the territories that he had.
Oh, you
would
mean like
that have
if they
still been
didn't
the
go
same?
along with
Would
it?
he eventually start to enforce kind of that religion, or one religion or one culture, that type of thing?
It's interesting too, because it's like he lived pretty much a full life for the most part. But the problem is that, like, from the sources, it seemed like he governed pretty fairly.
Yeah.
Which is interesting too, because you would think that he would turn to become more of a tyrant. But I mean, it depends on what sources you look at. Some people would argue that he was becoming unhinged in his final moments, where he started being very delusional, like paranoid that his son was going to usurp his throne and try to kill him. And ironically, what happens is when he dies, all of his generals, including his sons, start fighting over his kingdom and tear it apart. So he builds the biggest empire in the world at this time, and then he gets paranoid that somebody is going to kill him and try to take over his empire. Then he dies, and everyone tries to kill each other and take over his empire.
Exactly.
And they don't institute the same things that he does. So it's like, it just falls apart because all these different cultures are coming together and trying to seize power. And it's like, when the king is dead, it's like there's nobody to hold that in place anymore. And the person who had those values and protected those values is no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's
leaders tend to get paranoid at the peak of their power.
What's that, Nick?
Wake me up. Sorry, just kidding. I was saying the leaders tend to get paranoid when they're at the peak of their power.
I mean, yeah, it's fairly normal. I mean, when you have an empire that's that big, I mean, it's very easy to get paranoid. I mean, look at Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar was super paranoid.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like he knew something was coming, and unfortunately, he didn't see his best friend betraying him. But
we learned from his lesson.
Yeah, we learned from his lesson. It's like I tell my students all the time, like they ask me, why is it important to learn about, dictatorships and learn about history, and why is it important to learn about Julius Caesar and the fall of his role. And it's like I explain it to him as like history repeats itself, and a lot of people don't pay attention to it. So it's like Julius Caesar declares himself emperor for life. People don't like that, so the government puts a plot out to assassinate him, and they assassinate Julius Caesar. Okay, fast forward, Napoleon Bonaparte declares himself emperor for life. He's disgraced and run out of France.
Yep.
Because people don't like the fact that he declares himself emperor for life, and he starts losing battles. Kick him out, and he's lucky he didn't lose his life there. They kick him out and isolate him, and he ended up coming back later and failing to retake power. And then you just keep going down the line. It's like Adolf Hitler declared himself pretty much the dictator for life, and then he betrayed the Russians, which was a huge mistake on his part, because you never, ever, 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 ever stab in the back a community who is willing to, when you invade their country, burn their own livestock and burn their own houses so that you can't eat and you can't shelter yourself during a snowstorm. If somebody is crazy enough to do that, you don't want to make them your enemy. And Adolf Hitler underestimated the Russians.
And thank God he did.
Yeah.
Thank God.
So it's like you look at like those historical moments, and like that's what is what drew me to the historical field. You ask yourself, like, what is the moment where you see things like dictatorships fall, and you see that like the choices that paranoid people make, and it's like all these people had to do was look at the leaders before and make different decisions, and things might have turned out differently for them. And it's kind of interesting how leaders like that make the same mistakes over and over again, and they never learn.
Exactly.
And that's why good always wins, because evil are stupid.
Well, power corrupts.
Yeah. Bad guys don't think things through, do they? I mean, it's like every trope in like every like horror film, like they always have to stop to tell you about their plan. And it gives you just enough time to beat them.
Exactly. You get too up in your own head and, in your own power that it's your downfall.
Yeah. Oh, I love history. I love studying history. I like looking at, all the perspectives, all the battles, all the, concepts of like, how did things get to where they are now?
And I adore history. I love it. I'm not extremely well-versed or well-studied in it, but I love hearing about it and, like yourself, exploring it for a lot of the same reasons. I find it fascinating. I
mean, it's very much a giant story, and I think that's what always drew me to the concept. I always liked the idea that it was like never-ending. I mean, if you want to really look at it, history is a never-ending soap opera.
Yeah.
Essentially. And they repeat the same storylines here and there, but what I've actually taken good pride in lately is looking at cultures that I haven't really researched before. So like I recently just got done reading a bunch of books on the Mongolian Empire, and I was very fascinated with a lot of stuff that I learned about that culture and how they sort of operated, especially when it came to battle tactics. Like when I look at their battle tactics, I'm like, they had probably the most sophisticated battle tactics in the ancient world. And like, I can't believe that I like had not known about it before. And it's like, they were like absolutely outstanding when it came to deception and instilling fear on their enemy. And it's like they had so many nice tricks up their sleeves to make them think things without actually, showing their hand. And like one of the cool things that they would do is they would send scouts off in like little parties all throughout like the area, and they would light campfires all over the place. So when the enemy looks out into their numbers, they see a whole bunch of campfires, and it's like they might be like 10,000 men, but it more or less looks like 100,000 men because
Uh-huh.
you see all these campfires off in the distance, and they're like, oh my gosh.
That's a really cool thing to know about.
The other cool story I always tell is if anybody's fascinated with World War II history and like looking at deception, the Operation D-Day is like one of the most fascinating stories when it comes to deception. Dwight Eisenhower, the general of the U.S. Army, actually fools Rommel from the German army and Hitler. He basically takes his best general, just his best general, one person, moves him all the way down the shore, all the way away from where they plan to make the attack on Normandy Beach. And he makes sure that his best general is visible to the German army, who now shifts all their forces down to this area across the way, getting ready to invade in that area and fight, General Patton, right? And the cool thing about it is you can actually look this up on YouTube. He took a whole bunch of lifelike inflatable tanks, inflatable tents, inflatable people, and put them up and surrounded them around the general to make the German army think that the attack was coming from all the way over here. So when they look through the binoculars, they see the general who's like pacing around, and they see a whole bunch of inflatable, equipment. And they're like, oh my God, an attack's coming this way. So what does the German army do? All right, well, they're going to invade all over here. So we're going to take all of our men and move them over here. Meanwhile, Eisenhower and all of the Allied forces invade Normandy Beach when it's understaffed and all the men are moved for this deception. So they literally fall for this ruse where it's a whole bunch of like air balloons that look like people and look like tanks. And meanwhile, it allows them to invade Normandy and take back Europe, which was, the beginning of the end for the German Empire.
I remember learning about that a while ago, but for some reason I don't remember learning anything about, how exactly it was done.
Oh, it was so fascinating. And like the coolest thing ever is you go to YouTube and you look at all you have to do is type in inflatable tanks or inflatable cars or whatever, and it'll show you like old time footage, like black and white, of people just like pushing up these tanks and mounting them down.
Gosh.
It's so cool. But it's like one of those gems that nobody really gets to learn too much about. It's like a passing thing that's taught in education, but they don't really go into depth about why it works. And like the cool thing that nobody really, explains is that they take their best general, they sacrifice their best general and put him somewhere where he's not needed to trick everybody else into thinking this is where the attack is going.
Exactly. That's crazy.
It's so cool. I mean, look at me. I've been talking for a while now. I don't shut up about history. I absolutely love history.
Oh, hold on, Andrew. Can I speak? Can I speak yet, Andrew? Because it's been like 30 minutes.
Yeah, go ahead, Nick. Let me.
Because I know a lot about history too, Bucko. But I definitely recommend a movie. I mean, if we're talking about battle strategy, I guess. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend this movie with Russell Crowe called Mastering Matter, The Far Side of the World. And in that movie, near the end, it's basically about this English ship during around the War of 1812, I think it is. And they're being chased by this stronger friendship. And so at the end, they actually disguise their English ship as a whaling ship, and they have it blow smoke like whaling ships do. And so they bring the French ship up real close, like, but they don't attack because they think it's a whaling ship, but they bring it so close that they end up being able to beat them by doing a disguise, essentially. So definitely recommend that movie. It's very, very cool, but that's more about naval ship strategy. So just made me think of that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different examples.
I'm just battle tactics, so interesting. But you guys can make it interesting.
I'm just so enthralled with ancient history. That's my jam. I mean, I like the concept of ancient combat and looking at like the perspectives of the culture, what they believed in, what motivated them.
Yeah,
I like learning cool
take
tidbits like
like
with the Mongolians. So
well, my old take on your whole Alexander the Great thing is I think obviously, yeah, I mean, he's barbaric by any modern standard. I don't think I don't think anyone period would find him great at all in modern standards. I mean, our society's just too light, but so that's what I meant. Like, I don't. Yeah, I guess what you're really exploring is the context of what great means, because yeah, that takes a very different term in terms of that culture, is what it sounds like to me, or meaning the point in history.
I think what I'm going to find is that the term "great" is subjective.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I mean, because you look at Alfred the Great in comparison, and like, this is somebody who, under the umbrella of Christianity was, trying to unite England under one kingdom, under one religion, and depending on what perspective you take, he was either trying to purge the Vikings or the Norse from England, or he was, from another perspective, you could say that he was trying to persecute somebody for their religion. I mean, it depends on what standing you take as a reader, and you look at that perspective and like, should the Norse have been able to coexist with the English, and should they have been able to still practice their religion, or should that have been something that Alfred himself sought out, as opposed to thinking about, if you want peace, you need to become Christian, and you need to do this, you need to do that. Can't keep your religion, you can't keep your identity. And you look at it, it's like there's a lot more about Alfred the Great that's respectable. But the one thing that he doesn't do is the one thing that Alexander does.
Mm-hmm.
He conquers all these lands and all these people, and was like, hey, you just need to do this one thing. You can do everything else. Where Alfred the Great is like, we won't have true peace until you convert. Which in modern standards is something that would very highly be frowned upon. But he's such an important figure and such a well-respected figure within history.
I'll be honest, I do sound naive, but I've never even heard of Alfred the Great. I only know Alexander the Great, so I don't know all of Alfred.
Yeah, I think that's the other reason why I'm picking Alfred. I mean, I could go with Catherine, and like I could do like different articles, comparing like Alfred and Catherine, or Alexander and Catherine, or just switching it up. But I've got a huge fascination when it comes to Alfred and when it comes to Alexander. They're my two favorite figures with the title of the Great. So that's sort of where I'm starting with, just by fascinating for the two figures and sort of looking at them from that perspective and being like, okay, well, you look at both of these leaders, and I can tell you already that by modern standards, something that they do, no matter what, would be seen as not so great. But does that mean overall that they aren't great, or that one person is greater than the other? In terms of the word great,
Yeah.
And
I have a bit of a interesting, I guess, when it comes to me and my searching into history and stuff. I actually just recently was researching a lot about of Joan of Arc for a poem I was actually thinking about writing. And I find that story so incredibly fascinating, especially for the time that, it was when it happened. It's just something I find very interesting. And it was really cool learning about that.
And see, that's the thing. I want to see more stories about that. Like Joan of Arc is such a fascinating concept. Oh, I just got good news about the cat. The cat seems to be doing a little bit better. Okay, that's good. Sorry about that, guys. Back to my thought. Okay, Joan of Arc. So, it was so exciting to hear that she's, at least moving around. Yeah, Joan of Arc, fascinating figure. If you haven't researched her before, please get a book and do some research on her and check out her story, because she was a very instrumental figure in her culture. Another person I would recommend that fits that bill that not a lot of people know about is we were talking about Catherine earlier. She's probably the most well known, but in that same sort of lineage in English history, Ethelfled, who was the daughter of Alfred the Great, and is known to be a very strong, independent woman who literally led forces, like essentially carried the title of queen in America, which was a part of England at the time. And at that time, England didn't English didn't can't talk. England did not recognize the title of queen. So there would be a king who had a wife who would be recognized as a queen, but she wouldn't be able to rule as a queen. Everything had to be done through the king. So what was really fascinating about Ethelfled, which a lot of people don't really know about, is that she was very independent. She led forces. She pretty much was like a hardcore individual, like Joan of Arc, who knew how to lead and how to inspire. And she was well above her time. Like, this is a type of woman who, if she was recognized as queen, probably would have dominated and been not just loved, but also revered in all of England. Not only because she was the daughter of Alfred the Great, but because of how strong she was as a military leader and how respected she was from her citizens.
I'll certainly have to look into that. It sounds very interesting. I've never heard
I
of
love the story of Ethelfled. There's so much you could say about Ethelfled. And if you haven't heard about her before, definitely look into her. You won't be disappointed. If you like things like looking at stories from like Joan of Arc, you'll absolutely love the warrior princess, as I call her. The real Xenon before Xenon became popular. Oh boy. Oh man, time flies. It's 9:40. Can you imagine that? We only got 20 minutes left.
It is crazy.
Thank you guys for staying on for so long. Still got people watching on Twitch and on Facebook. So if you're still here, thank you. We appreciate that. Don't forget, you can add a comment. We'll flash it on screen here just like this.
Certainly, we could go for some questions or anything, really.
Instead of me just ranting about history for an hour. Oh, man. And, of course, Nick is, like, making some serious progress in here.
Certainly is. With his
I think we almost finished drawing darkening all the lines here.
No, definitely not. And I won't be able to do so before the end of the stream, unfortunately. I would tell you otherwise, but I'm not there.
It's a lot more defined and definitely looks very good.
Thank you very much.
I remember, what was it, one night it was like one of the first times I had done like drawing characters from like an anime for like the longest time, and I just remember my entire night was spent, and like I didn't have any art supplies or anything of the sort, so I was sitting there trying to do shading and gradients with like a mechanical pencil, and I still feel my hand dying from the amount of hours I put just trying to shade a little spot in to make it look nice.
Hey, but you keep working at it and you get there,
Oh,
like with these pieces, by the way, like I'm working on this for like days. Like this is not fast. I really think I'm slow, but as I've drawn more, I've started to learn that benefit in a way, because I know drawings that I do in a day just aren't as good as the one I spend days on, which I try to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to take your time and just pound out a drawing, just take
Well,
your time.
I guess that's a big question for both of you, because both of you dabbled in art before. So I guess how long would it take you guys to complete one project on average?
I think it mostly depends on the medium you're going for,
Absolutely.
Yeah, like how long does a acrylic board take, Kira? Because I would think that would be faster because it's boring. I would think.
Oh yeah, and it has to be because your paint can honestly dry kind of fast. And especially for me, a lot of my technique actually involves using like a hair dryer to kind of get the swirls and stuff going. So that tends to dry the paint even faster than it would before. So you kind of got to get everything mixed up and then pour it on there. And usually you're done within like 30 minutes to an hour. But a lot of that time is prepping.
Yeah, prepping. I see. Well, I'll be honest. Doing stuff like this feels like it takes forever. It just does.
Yeah.
I don't know if I just suck slow, but as I said, I just lately I just try to accept the fact that it just takes a long time and just let it take a long time, basically.
Oh, absolutely.
Although, as you did say, I've made some progress in these 2 hours, so that's good.
Yeah, I'll have like pieces that I will start and then stop and like won't come back for a month too, and then get a lot of progress done and then stop for a few months and then come back to it.
Yeah, I try not to be months, but I could see that if you're doing a pretty if you're going back and forth between stuff for long projects, I get you there. I know you paint, and I tried painting, but yeah, painting it's so messy. That sounds stupid, but it I don't know. I don't like the mess. I like using these Copic markers a lot better here.
Oh, I know. I want some of those so bad.
Yeah, those are great. I mean, for blending, but I'm not the best with them. But they're nice because they're not really messy for the most part.
Yeah.
And with these, you can refill them and whatnot. So
see, for
the
me,
only
I think
problem is they're very.
I think it helps me when it comes to creating stuff. I don't know why. It just seems to mesh with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know for me, like when I was like painting or like learning how to paint as a elementary school kid, I would always get frustrated because I like try to go to these little small lines and paint in between them, and then I guess I put too much pressure on the brush, and it goes outside of the lines as well as inside, and I'm like, I need to get this paint to stay inside the lines because it seems to be going everywhere, and I need help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it reminds me, you gotta learn to you have to accept the fact that you're gonna mess up. You just will. I'll show you a mess up right now that I did. I don't know if this focus, but in the crossbow here, I screwed the line. It's kind of going through at one point. Like, it's just a little kind of messy. But I'll use I'll use the gel roll and no problem. You just touch up and keep going.
Right.
You guys want to talk
but
about...
early on when I started out, I would be very panicked if I did any of that.
Oh boy, here we go.
This one right here, I had it sitting right here, thankfully. This first acrylic pour that I did, oh my god, I could kick myself. So I sat there and I finally got done. I was so happy with how it looked. And, we were having a painting night, my mom and a friend of hers. And so they were still busy doing their paintings while I was kind of done. And I was just hanging around and I just kept going over and looking at my painting and like admiring it and thinking about how cool it was. And then I'd go back and I'd go back and forth. And then I sat there and I'm like, I didn't really think about how this is going to dry. And I never had the canvas propped up on anything. So I'm like, this is going to stick to the table if I don't do something about it now. And I don't really want it to stick to the table. So, me and my mom's friend were kind of brainstorming ideas about how we could prop it up to where, it could dry and not be an issue. So we thought about grabbing some cups that I'd used to mix the painting, turn them upside down, and put them on the corners of the canvas. Well, I got excited by that idea and was not thinking correctly. And so I just lifted two sides, or one side really, up, getting ready to put these cups under there, but completely forgot that, your paint's still not dry. So my paint just all started to flow all the way down.
Oh no.
I had laying down still. And I got so mad at myself.
Wow.
Nobody really knows the struggles
it was
behind the
definitely
scenes.
better
Though.
the first time. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No. I think we both went at the same time. That's my bad. But yeah, it's just an idea that nobody really understands how much struggle goes behind the scenes of learning the craft.
Mm-hmm.
They only see the finished product, and they don't really see all that struggle that leads up to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's it makes me think everyone's lying when they say good job to everybody because I know all the flaws. But no, people do like what you do, when they compliment you. But when you're the artist, you always know the little. You see the little mess ups here and there, but then you try to do your best. But I don't know. That's how it feels for me sometimes. You're very self-conscious,
Yeah.
You feel naked with your art. I'll just say it. You feel very naked.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same way with authors and their books. It's
mm-hmm.
Even now I ask myself, was the ending it might have been perfect to me at the time, but I ask myself all the time, was the ending exactly what I wanted it to be? And thankfully for me, it's still coming back as a yes. But all the time you ask yourself, did I do this right? Did I could I have done this better? And of course, the answer is always yes. You could have done it better. Because as soon as you put it to print, you think of a much better way if you could have put it. Or you could have said it.
What I love about trying different outlets is, it's a lot of fun getting your creative ideas out there in different formats. So yeah, you can have a painting of one thing, or you can have a story of another thing. Just to be able to kind of go all out with how you have it in your head is really cool. That's why I love kind of doing what I do, because it just gives me so much freedom.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're coming up on our final 10 minutes of the show, believe it or not. So I guess what I would like you guys to do, if you guys wouldn't mind, excuse me, if you guys wouldn't mind promoting yourselves and sharing with you with the nice audience here and everyone who's gonna be watching after the fact, sort of how they can follow you, sort of what you do and how they can help you and help you grow. That would be awesome.
All right, Nick, you go first since I went first last time. Oh, I go this way. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I was gonna get my portfolio, but I don't feel like it now. I am tired from drawing. But for everyone who liked this, if you want more stuff like this, please follow me at Nick Geo Arts, Nicholas Georgel, but it's Nick Geo Arts on Instagram and Nicholas Georgel Arts, and you can support me there. Make sure to follow, and you'll see my new works as they come out, and eventually this new one will be done. So those are the best places you can follow.
And eventually, a collaboration between us.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yes.
We're gonna have to do a live stream where it's I sort of produce in the background, but you guys are both just doing artwork.
Yeah.
And it's we see both of your styles, whether or not you're doing painting and whether or not you're doing drawing, and it's just I'll be there to answer questions, but we get to see the visual concept. You guys can sort of vibe in your own way and maybe talk about your own work and stuff. And I think that'd be a really cool stream to have one of these days.
Yeah.
Certainly, we can do something like that soon.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that idea. The more, the better, right? The more this going working on their stuff, the better.
We're gonna think of
I'll
a
let
cool
you go
name
ahead,
for it too, like Battle of the Artists or like Draw Off or something.
Well,
A
this
showdown.
one
Think of
here
something more
keeps
corny
wanting
than those two
showdown.
names.
You keep wanting to have a showdown.
There's a story behind that.
Andrew. This one here, she kept like saying I wrote slowdown like I was having an art slowdown, but she kept reading it as showdown. She's like, showdown, we're having a showdown. Like, no, you're just misreading things. You're
I was tired.
misspelling things in your head. Sorry to call you out.
My brain didn't want to accept it as anything but showdown.
Showdown on sprints.
Oh my god, yeah.
Sorry, I just thought it was funny.
It was. It really was. Oh my god.
Already called the next documentary The Great. Like, who is the greatest artist?
See,
And in the modern
thing is,
standards
I
of the
really
word,
don't like
are they truly great?
competitions between art, you know? It's odd
Yeah.
that I kept reading it as showdown because I don't like competitions. I think everyone's art is great in their own way and it should be judged in their own way and not, I guess, in comparison with each other. That
Oh
makes
yeah,
sense?
of course. Well, I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah,
You
that's
have
the
different
way.
styles. I mean, you have the paint-based
Yeah,
art.
exactly, yeah.
Nick has like the line drawing art, and then of course we have Brielle, who comes on every so often. She has a computer graphic arts. So it's like, you know, you have all three of you on. You all have three different perspectives, and you have different ways in which you explore those mediums. And you know, when you look at different genres and you combine them in like a special like that, it really is more or less just you showing off your genre more so than who's better, or what style is better, anything like that. It's just like it's really cool to see two people in their own element just having fun, working on a piece that they really enjoy.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. So I guess we'll move on to Kira then. Let her promote herself before we hit the happy trail, or as I like to say, man, what is it I always used to say? I think it wasn't hit the happy trail. It was right off into the sunset. Yeah, there you go. Man, it's been too long since I did this.
Trying to think of is there a piece that I could show off that I don't already have on my pages yet? All I have to do is just look right over here.
And we're taking an official tour of Kira's studio.
Complete studio. Yeah. We'll go with this one because this one's I didn't use a tutorial for. So they did this watercolor of a house a while back.
That was very nice.
Very cool.
But
see, I don't paint, that's very cool.
Thank you. But yeah, I do paintings, watercolors, acrylics, drawings, anything. I write poetry and trying to get into maybe some short stories or something of the sort. So look forward to that. And you can find me over at Alece's Poetry, which is ALECESIS. And that's on Instagram and Facebook.
Awesome. And of course, you guys all know me, other than the loudmouth that talks about history for an hour. My name is Andrew Bast. I am the author of the Sanguinary series, which, let me turn it over here, is that wonderful book right there. You can pick it up on Amazon. And of course, you just type in Andrew. If you do get my book and you do get a chance to read it, and you like it, which I hope you do, please consider leaving a review. A review goes a long way for an artist, for an author, anybody who's selling any products on Amazon. The more likes you get, the more traffic you get, and that is the most important thing for me as a young author. I would like to get as many people to look at my book as possible. So yeah, you can pick up Sanguinary Song there on Amazon, and of course, it is $13.99 for a paperback and $3.99 for ebook. I think I got everything. It's been a long night. Everyone's getting tired over here. We're running out of gas, especially me, who've talked for an hour long. But we do want to thank you guys for coming out. We appreciate you hanging out with us and, you know, working on your projects and checking out Nick. Awesome art, not his little art. Kira's wonderful personality, and of course her watercolors and acrylic paints. And yeah, me like absolutely gushing on gaming and history all day. So yeah, I'm very, very thankful for you guys coming back and watching this episode of Sprints. We'll definitely have to do something, a collab going on, have like a nice little art show with Kira and Nick, and you know, maybe we can get other artists to pop on, you know, do like an art special at some point.
Certainly.
A lot of cool, interesting things on the horizon.
Yeah.
It's on the bucket list. Yep.
Yeah, it's on the list.
Ooh,
So yeah,
before we go, I want to say, check out Alex Drop a Line next week. Someone might be on there that we know.
Oh, so somebody we know might be on there. So I think it's a little hint.
But ones might not be on the show tonight.
Okay. So yeah, check out that, because next Thursday on Drop a Line, we're gonna have 2 guests who have yet to be announced. But
such a mystery.
2 guests.
Who they could be.
We don't know who they are, but you're gonna like them. I guarantee it. Well, this was a fantastic show. I just want to thank Kira and Nick for coming out and, you know, getting me back into writing Sprints, because it's been a long time, like I said, since like at least December or January. So it's nice to be able to get out and get back into it and sort of refocus on, you know, the brand and, you know, giving a voice to authors and artists, and sort of just coming together and working on important projects, and, you know, just shooting a breeze and, you know,
thank you for having
learning
us.
some fascinating things. Yeah, you're very much welcome. Very glad to have you. You guys are always welcome
back, Andrew.
Back at any point in time. So with that said, I'm gonna say goodbye to everybody here. See you later.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone, and thanks for coming.
Have a nice night.
This is Writing Sprints, and we were happy to host you today. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.